I need to get this off my chest because I honestly don't know how to handle this situation anymore. I, 27M, have been with my girlfriend Harley, 26F, for 4 years now. I guess I should start with some background. Before Harley, I went through some really rough relationships. My first serious girlfriend cheated on me with her coworker after 2 years together. I found out when I surprised her at work with lunch and saw them making out in the parking lot. My second girlfriend cheated with her ex and had the nerve to tell me it was my fault for not being exciting enough. Those experiences really messed with my head and made me question everything about myself. Then I met Harley at a mutual friend's birthday party. She was different from anyone I'd ever met. I'm naturally quiet and soft-spoken, the kind of person who blends into the background at parties. But Harley saw me. She came right up to me, started a conversation, and made me feel like the most interesting person in the room. She has this way about her that just draws people in. She's confident, brave, and somehow made me feel the same way when I was with her. When we first started dating, Harley was going through a rough patch. She was struggling with alcohol addiction, drinking almost every night to deal with stress from her job and family issues. I don't drink myself, never have, just not my thing. I also don't smoke or do any drugs. I'm not judging anyone who does, it's just not for me. Anyway, I stood by her through her recovery. I went to AA meetings with her, helped her find new ways to handle stress, celebrated every milestone with her. Going through that together made us stronger. We felt like we could handle anything life threw at us as long as we had each other. Our relationship was pretty much perfect, at least I thought so. We never really fought. The worst it ever got was maybe her getting frustrated if I forgot to take out the trash or put my dishes away after a long day at work. But even then, it wasn't really fighting. I hate conflict, so I usually just apologized and made sure to do better next time. I always went along with what Harley wanted, where to eat, what to watch, how to spend our weekends. Looking back now, maybe that was part of the problem. Maybe I was too passive, too boring. Maybe she needed someone who would challenge her more. About 10 months ago, Harley told me she was pregnant. I was absolutely thrilled. I've always wanted to be a father, and the thought of starting a family with Harley seemed like a dream come true. We did all the things expecting parents do. We turned our spare room into a nursery, painting it this soft green color that Harley loved. We spent weekends shopping for baby furniture, picking out the perfect crib and changing table. We bought tiny clothes and stuffed animals. We made lists of baby names, James or William for a boy, Sophia or Emma for a girl. I went to every doctor's appointment, read all the parenting books I could find, even started a college fund. I was all in. Then came the day she went into labor. I was at work when I got the call. We thought the baby was coming that weekend, that's what the doctor had said at her last appointment. But babies have their own schedule, I guess, because it decided to come on a Tuesday instead. I remember dropping everything at work and rushing to the hospital. My boss was actually really understanding about it, told me to take all the time I needed. When I got to the hospital and found Harley's room, that's when my whole world fell apart. I walked in and saw Harley in the hospital bed, holding a baby, our baby, I thought. But there was also this guy I'd never seen before standing right next to her bed, looking down at the baby like he had every right to be there. He was basically my complete opposite in every way, full beard, long hair down to his shoulders, covered in tattoos and piercings. I'm clean cut, no tattoos, the kind of guy who wears khakis and button-downs to work. This guy looked like he'd just walked off the set of Sons of Anarchy. He gave me this casual "hey man" when I walked in, like we were old friends or something. I was so confused I just mumbled something back. I looked at Harley, but she wouldn't even meet my eyes. She asked the guy, Thomas, 34M, to give us a minute. He squeezed her hand before he left, and that's when I knew. I knew before she even said anything that something was terribly wrong. I stood there looking at the baby while Harley told me everything. The baby wasn't mine. She'd been seeing Thomas for the past year, starting about 3 months before she got pregnant. They met at some motorcycle bar she'd gone to with her friends, a place she knew I'd never go. She said she really liked him, that he was exciting and spontaneous in ways I wasn't. She swore it wasn't anything I did wrong, like that was supposed to make me feel better. She told me she hadn't said anything earlier because she was hoping the baby would turn out to be mine. But one look at the baby made it clear that wasn't the case. The baby had Thomas's features, his darker complexion, his nose, his chin. There was no way I could be the father. She said she didn't want to string me along anymore now that she knew for sure. I know people probably expect me to say I lost it. That I went after Thomas or screamed at Harley or something. But I didn't. I just stood there, feeling like I couldn't breathe. I don't even remember leaving the hospital. The next clear memory I have is sitting in my car in the parking lot of our apartment building, staring at nothing. We've separated now. Split up our stuff and moved to different places. I couldn't stand to be in that apartment anymore, looking at the nursery we'd created together. Packing up was the worst part. Every little thing I packed was a reminder of what I'd lost, the crib we spent hours assembling, the mobile that played lullabies, the tiny clothes we'd bought. I ended up donating all the baby stuff. I couldn't bear to keep any of it. My friends keep telling me I dodged a bullet. They say I'm better off finding out now rather than years down the road, maybe after raising a child that wasn't mine. But that doesn't make it hurt any less. I trusted her completely. We went through so much together, helped each other through hard times. I really thought we were building a life together, that we were going to have our happy ending. I'm not sure how to move forward from here. Everything still feels fresh and raw. I keep replaying the last year in my head, wondering if there were signs I missed. Should I have noticed when she started going out more with her friends? When she started being more protective of her phone? When she seemed less interested in planning the baby's room? Part of me wants to be angry, but mostly I just feel empty. I've blocked Harley's number and all her social media. I'm staying with my brother for now until I figure out what to do next. I just can't believe this is my life now. Edit, thank you everyone for the support and advice. I'm trying to read through all the comments. And no, I'm not considering taking Harley back, no matter what she says or does. Update 1, it's been about 3 weeks since my last post. First, I want to thank everyone for their support and advice. Reading through all your comments really helped me feel less alone in all this. A lot has happened since then, and I needed some time to process everything before I felt ready to update. Last week, Harley showed up at my workplace. I was heading out to lunch when I saw her standing next to my car in the parking lot. She looked terrible, dark circles under her eyes, messy hair, wearing what looked like the same clothes from yesterday. At first, I tried to walk past her like I didn't see her. I wasn't ready to face her, didn't think I'd ever be ready. But she started crying and grabbed my arm, begging me to talk to her. A couple of my coworkers were walking by, and I didn't want to make a scene, so I agreed to 5 minutes. We sat on a bench outside my office building. That's when Harley told me everything that's been happening with Thomas. Apparently, life with her dream man isn't turning out like she hoped. Thomas has shown zero interest in being a father. He spends most of his time planning motorcycle trips with his friends, leaving her alone with the baby for days at a time. When he is home, he gets angry about the baby crying and complains that he can't sleep. He hasn't changed a single diaper or gotten up for any night feedings. According to Harley, he told her that he never wanted kids and that she trapped him into the situation. The worst part is he's still going on his weekend motorcycle trips like nothing's changed. Last weekend, he left on Friday morning saying he'd be back Sunday night. He didn't come back until Tuesday afternoon. Didn't call, didn't text, just showed up like nothing was wrong. When Harley tried to talk to him about it, he told her she was being clingy and that he needed his freedom. Then she dropped the real reason she came to see me. She wants me to consider being the baby's father. She went on this long speech about how she made the biggest mistake of her life, how she threw away something real for something that turned out to be fake. She talked about what a good father I would be, how stable and caring I am, completely opposite to Thomas. She even said we could pretend the baby was mine, that Thomas agreed to stay away if that's what I wanted. The whole time she was talking, I felt like I was going to be sick. All I could think about was that year of lies. A whole year where she could have been honest with me, but instead chose to lie every single day. She watched me set up that nursery, saw how excited I was about being a father, watched me read those parenting books and start a college fund, and said nothing. She let me believe I was going to be a father while knowing there was a good chance I wasn't. My brother, who I'm still staying with, thinks I should at least consider it. He says the baby is innocent in all this and deserves a good father figure. He pointed out that I was already prepared to be a father, had already fallen in love with the idea of raising this child. But he doesn't understand. Every time I look at that baby, all I would see is her betrayal. Every milestone, every birthday, every school event would be a reminder of how she chose Thomas over me. And what happens when the baby grows up and starts looking more like Thomas? What do we tell him then? Plus, there's the practical side of things. Even if Thomas says he'll stay away now, he's still legally the father. He could change his mind at any time and decide he wants to be involved. Then I'd have to watch this guy who Harley chose over me come in and out of the child's life. I'd have to see him and Harley at every major life event. I can't do that to myself. I told Harley I needed time to think about it, mostly just to get her to leave. She kept crying, saying she'd wait as long as I needed, that she knows now what really matters in life. But I already know my answer. I can't be that guy, the backup plan when things don't work out with the man she actually wanted. I'm not going to be her safety net just because her fantasy life with Thomas turned out to be a nightmare. My friends are split on this. Some think I should give it a chance, say that people make mistakes and deserve second chances. Others think I'm right to walk away, that taking her back would just show her that she can treat me however she wants and I'll still be there to pick up the pieces. The thing is, I don't think this is about second chances. This isn't about forgiveness. This is about respect and trust. Harley didn't respect me enough to be honest with me. She didn't trust me enough to tell me the truth when she first got involved with Thomas. Instead, she lied to my face every day for a year. She watched me build a future that she knew might be a lie, and she said nothing. I've been having trouble sleeping since she showed up at my work. Every time I close my eyes, I see her standing there with the baby, begging me to come back. Part of me, a very small part, wants to say yes. Not for her, but for the baby. But I know that would be a mistake. I'd be setting myself up for a lifetime of pain and resentment. I'm going to tell her no. I'm planning to send her an email making it clear that I don't want any contact from her. I'll also be talking to HR about not letting her into my workplace again. It's time for me to start healing and moving on with my life. Update 2. 2 months have passed since Harley asked me to be a father to her child. I know I said in my last update that I was going to send her an email telling her not to contact me, but things got complicated. I wrote the email, rewrote it about 20 times, but never sent it. Part of me felt like I owed her a face-to-face conversation after 4 years together. That was probably my first mistake. The past 2 months have been a roller coaster. I've been getting messages from mutual friends almost daily, telling me how Harley's really struggling. According to them, Thomas has completely abandoned her and the baby. He moved in with some friend in California, saying he needed to find himself or some bullshit like that. He hasn't sent any money or even asked about the baby since he left. She's had to move back in with her parents because she can't manage on her own. Our mutual friend Sarah told me Harley had to quit her job because she couldn't afford childcare, and her parents work full-time. She's burning through her savings, and Thomas won't even answer her calls about child support. Sarah said Harley spends most days just sitting in her old childhood bedroom, holding the baby and crying. Yesterday, everything came to a head when I ran into Harley's mother at the grocery store. I was in the cereal aisle when I heard someone call my name. I turned around and there she was, looking like she'd aged 10 years since I last saw her. She started crying right there in the middle of the store, telling me how Harley cries herself to sleep every night. How she keeps saying she made the biggest mistake of her life choosing Thomas over me. Her mother went on about how Harley's not eating properly, how she's lost so much weight, how she just sits in her room staring at old pictures of us. She begged me to at least talk to Harley, said everyone makes mistakes and deserves a second chance. She even offered to watch the baby anytime we wanted to go out and try to rebuild our relationship. Then she said something that really got to me. She said Harley had finally admitted why she started seeing Thomas in the first place. Apparently, right before she met him, she'd found some engagement ring websites in my browser history. She panicked, thinking I was going to propose. She said she wasn't ready for marriage, that she felt trapped, and Thomas represented freedom. Her mother said Harley realizes now how stupid and immature that was. But here's the thing, I was looking at rings. I had been planning to propose on our anniversary. I'd even talked to her parents about it, asked for their blessing. They knew. They knew and they still let me believe the baby was mine. They watched me plan for a future that was built on lies. That's when something inside me just snapped. Standing there in that grocery store, looking at this woman who had participated in her daughter's lies, I finally found my anger. I told her exactly what I thought. This wasn't a mistake. A mistake is forgetting to pay a bill or saying something thoughtless in an argument. What Harley did was a series of conscious choices over an entire year. She chose to start seeing Thomas instead of talking to me about her fears. She chose to keep seeing him after finding out she was pregnant. She chose to let me believe I was going to be a father. She chose to let me build a nursery, buy baby clothes, and plan for a future she knew might not be real. And her parents chose to watch it all happen and say nothing. I told her mother I was sorry Harley was struggling, but these were the consequences of her own actions. She wanted Thomas, wanted the excitement and freedom he represented, and now she has to live with that decision. I'm not going to be anyone's backup plan or safety net just because their first choice didn't work out. Her mother started saying something about the baby being innocent and all this, but I cut her off. I told her that the baby deserves better than to be used as a tool to manipulate me into a relationship. I said that if Harley really cares about the baby's future, she needs to stop trying to force me into being its father and start focusing on being a better mother herself. I left her standing there in the cereal aisle. I abandoned my shopping cart and just walked out of the store. When I got home, I had a dozen missed calls from Harley and her parents. I blocked their numbers. All of them. I thought knowing why Harley cheated would help me move on, but it just made everything worse. To know that she threw away our future because she was afraid of commitment, that she let me plan a proposal that would never happen, it just adds another layer of betrayal to everything. Update 3. It's been 6 months since everything happened, and I felt I owed this community one final update. So much has changed since my last post, both good and bad. Harley's still trying to contact me through different people. Last month she even had her sister bring the baby to my apartment, thinking seeing him might change my mind. They stood outside my door for almost an hour, her sister calling out that the baby needed a father, that I was being cruel by not even looking at him. I didn't open the door. I just sat on my couch with my headphones on until they left. After that incident, I realized I needed to make some major changes. I've accepted a job offer in another city, about 3 hours away. It's actually a better position with higher pay, but honestly, I would have taken a pay cut just to get away from all this. I'm moving next week. Only my brother and 2 closest friends know where I'm going. The decision to move wasn't easy. This city has been my home for my entire life. My family is here, my friends are here, my whole support system. But everywhere I go, there are reminders of Harley. The coffee shop where we had our first date. The park where we used to walk on weekends. The hospital I drive past every day on my way to work. Even the grocery store is off limits now after that scene with her mother. My brother thinks I'm running away from my problems. Maybe he's right. But sometimes running away is the only way to move forward. I need a fresh start somewhere where I'm not known as the guy whose girlfriend had another man's baby. Where I don't have to worry about running into Harley or Thomas or their baby at the supermarket. To everyone saying I'm being cruel by not helping Harley, I disagree. She made her choice when she decided Thomas was worth throwing away our relationship. She chose him over me every single day for a year. The fact that it didn't work out doesn't make me responsible for picking up the pieces of her life. I've started seeing someone new. It's very casual right now, and she knows everything that happened. She's been incredibly understanding about why I need to take things slow. It's nice to remember that not every relationship has to end in betrayal. I'm going completely no contact now. I've changed my number and deleted all social media. My email address will be changed once I start the new job. I've told my family that anyone who gives Harley my new contact information will be cut off. It might seem harsh, but I need this clean break. To the people who followed my story and offered support, thank you. This community helped me stay strong when I was tempted to give in, when the guilt and manipulation almost worked. You helped me see that I deserve better than being someone's backup plan. This whole experience has changed me. I'm not the same quiet, conflict-avoiding person I was 6 months ago. I've learned to stand up for myself, to set boundaries, to say no without feeling guilty. It's a painful way to learn these lessons, but sometimes that's how life works. So this is it. The final chapter of this story. Time to start writing a new one. Thanks for everything, Reddit. This will be my last update. Edit, to those asking, yes, I've documented everything in case I need a restraining order in the future. My lawyer has copies of all texts, emails, and recordings of the incidents at my apartment and workplace.